Yeah, I think for me, social justice issues and activism were always kind of a part of like the background fabric of my life, because my parents, would like do volunteer stuff with us when we were younger, and would go to protests with us when we were younger. So that was always kind of around me, and then coming into the Unitarian Universalist faith, that became more a part of what I was aware of, and then brought me to the UUSC to do my internship here. Yeah, so I think to me human rights are important because they are universal, and they, the reason why we have a concept of human rights is because people recognize that there is a inalienable humanity in other people, and whether or not everybody recognizes that isn't necessarily needed for the concept to exist, and for people to see that human rights are universal because they're a part of being human. Social justice causes, whether it's the gay rights movement, or the women's movement, or a labor movement, or a farmers movement, that these movements aren't, that the women's movement isn't just the women's movement, but it's a human rights movement, because it's a movement of humans, and that the gay rights movement isn't just the gay rights movement, but that it's a human rights movement. So I think for me, the really important thing is to recognize not just a particular social justice movement, but to recognize that all these different civil liberties movements, civil rights movements, and social justice movements are human rights movements. I came to my internship at the UUSC after having done a lot of United Nations simulations. So I was very much aware of Kofi Annan, and he's always been a very inspiring presence to me. And then this past semester, I studied the Caribbean a lot, and a lot of their history and culture. And two people that stand out in my mind from that work that I did are Michael Manley of Jamaica, and also Queen Nani of the Maroons of Jamaica. So those are some of my social justice heroes. And then also on a smaller scale, my aunt is a union organizer, and so I really admire the work that she does, and that she's very committed to doing that. So she's also a social justice hero of mine. I think being coming to Unitarian Universalism and going through the coming of age program with, as a Unitarian Universalist, and doing a lot of my growing up as a Unitarian Universalist, that's very much informed my ability to see humanity in all people, and to, as I was saying before, tying back to human rights, and to really recognize that everybody has something very important that they can bring, to help everybody out. Yeah, so I worked primarily through the youth programs branch of UUSC, and then through the civil liberties branch of UUSC. And so when we'd have youth visits, I'd go and sit in on those and help facilitate the youth visits of the UUSC. I also put together several workshops that were taken to the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly that were on civil liberties issues in the Iraq War. And I did some video work for the USC after we did our civil rights journey. And then I also, with New Union, I worked on putting together a youth photo contest. So, I did a variety of things. And it turned out when I arrived that I was very much treated as a part of the team, and helped to facilitate youth conversations that we had on civil rights history, and then tying that into activism today. And also, was one of the team leaders at the end of the trip when we were doing our service work, repairing these houses in a community in Alabama. And so that was enormously enriching and educational, both historically and then as a leader, and as a young person being a leader. So that was really an amazing experience for me. had no idea that there even was a Mariella Holst Youth Activist Award. And so then when I was told I'd received this award, it was very, very affirming of my belief in volunteering, because I think it's very important for people to take as many opportunities as they can to volunteer, because this is an example of that. They pay off in ways you never thought they would. So it was really amazing to have that recognized. I think the worst thing that somebody can do, particularly youth, is to remain impassive to what they see going on around them, because as I was saying before, that the point of human rights is that people are given an opportunity to stand up and work to their full potential. And so if people throw that opportunity away, I think it's a terrible waste of our human resources to do that. So absolutely, even if people don't recognize that you're doing something, if you know that you are, do it. When I came to the UUSC, I thought of activism and being an activist as something that maybe one night a week an activist goes and they volunteer at a local soup pantry or something, and then maybe on Saturdays they try and get involved in union organizing, and then kind of on they get involved in these different ways, but they'd be kind of sporadic and separated. But during my internship at the UUSC, I came to realize that being an activist was all those things, but also was much more of living your life by your principles of what you think needs to be done. And so not only identifying problems and issues that you see around you, but then taking that knowledge and acting on it. And that's where I think activism comes in as a part of people's everyday decisions. And so I think everybody's an activist, whether they know it or not, and they need people should recognize that more, and really cultivate that.